Oh my god, movie studios, please come up with some original ideas, please. A sequel to a movie is supposed to be a next chapter, a continuation of a story we all know and love, but sometimes a sequel just really isn't a sequel at all, and I hate that studios are massacring great movie franchise. You see, there's times when the main actor from a movie decides not to make a second or third film, but because the first movie made a boatload of money, studio execs figure they can slap on a number at the end, change every single character, and boom, it's a sequel now. They expect us to buy in that this movie takes place in the same universe and is the same story, but most of the time, the audience sees right through it. They use the same exact jokes from the original and expect us to piss our pants laughing, but it's so cringy and I hate it. The movie feels like a knockoff, but it's not. It's like if McDonald's dropped the Big Mac 2, but it was a chicken sandwich instead of a burger. Like, yeah, it's another McDonald's sandwich, but it's a totally different thing. It's a different sandwich trying to capitalize off the Big Mac name. Take Home Alone, for example, right? In Home Alone 1, released in 1991, 8-year-old Kevin McAllister is accidentally left behind when his family for Christmas vacation rushes off to Paris. And at first, Kevin relishes in having the house to himself. He starts eating junk food, watching movies, doing whatever he pleases, right? But fun turns quickly serious when two bumbling burglars, Harry and Marv, known as the Wet Bandits, target his home as a robbery. So with no adults around, Kevin sets up a series of clever, painful, and elaborate, essentially death traps to defend his home, proving that even a kid can outsmart a couple of grown criminals. So that movie did great. It made a lot of money. It was very successful, right? 2 years later, we get Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Same characters, same everything. It's a continuation of the story, and it takes place a year later, when Kevin McAllister finds himself separated from his family once again, but in New York City. This time, he has his dad's credit card and uses his quick wit to make basically the most of his trip. So Harry and Marv ended up getting out of jail. They're basically trying to get revenge on Kevin, this 8-year-old kid, but he uses the city as his playground this time, getting revenge and doing the same antics on these robbers.
We now return to Home Alone with competent robbers.
Hey, be careful, there's cars on the floor here.
Thanks. That's weird, huh?
Yeah, the doorknob was really hot, but I just let go instead of holding onto it.
And there's some ice on the stairs to the basement, so I guess just don't go down there.
Just so you guys know, I have a tarantula.
Well, now there are no witnesses.
So Home Alone 1, the original story, Home Alone 2, an expansion of that same story, a continuation of what's happened from the first movie. But then things get messy and we get Home Alone 3. Kevin McAllister's gone, the Wet Bandits, nowhere to be found. None of those, 13 family members are there, and instead we get Alex Pruitt, a kid we've never met, fighting off criminals we don't care about. Same house trap, same Christmas theme, but not even close to the same movie. Like, they copied and pasted everything about this movie, but gave it a different director, different actors, and tried to make the same beats. They tried to remake the movie. It just doesn't work. It's not even close to the same movie. I'm sorry, but if you're gonna slap a 3 at the end of a Home Alone movie, I better be seeing Kevin McAllister outsmarting the Wet Bandits. It's just weird. At that point, it's like a reboot or a remake. It's not a continuation of the original story, but it didn't stop there. They somehow thought it'd be cool to create a Home Alone 4. I'm pretty sure there's a 5 and 6, and they each have different children. Another house, another set of villains. Like, who are you? Why did they think that just applying the same formula to some crap that we've already seen would do great 2 times? Lay it to rest, brother. Look, don't get me wrong. There are some instances where I feel like trying to profit off a franchise can work. There's like Drumline: A New Beat, Final Destination movies, and the Saw series. In Drumline: A New Beat, this works because it isn't called Drumline 2. The story isn't about Devin Miles being a drummer again. It's about a whole different person, obviously. But it does take place in that Drumline universe, right? And I think the universe part is very important. It's a Drumline series. With the Saw series, the main characters aren't the people that are being tortured, even though they do get a lot of screen time. The main character is Jigsaw and the situations that the people have been placed in. Same with Final Destination, right? There's a new Final Destination movie coming out as the time of this recording. Like, we aren't really emotionally attached to those specific people. We want to see the situations they're placed in and the weird things going on like that. The main character is the environment of the movie. The problem isn't that these movies exist. The problem is that they call themselves sequels, denoted with the next number. I don't mind if you want to expand the universe. I actually like when studios do that as long as they're upfront about it. Another example, the movie The Mask with Jim Carrey was a hit, right? And the next movie in that series was called Son of the Mask, with a totally different group of people, totally different group of problems. Now, I'm not saying it was a good movie, but at least it was upfront. It's not The Mask 2. It's a new story about the mask itself, and honestly, that kind of makes sense. The Mask was the real main character anyway, not Jim Carrey. Anytime they make a new The Grinch movie, it's not called The Grinch 2 or something like that. So it can be done right, but these movie studios just don't seem to get that sometimes. Here's another bad example, right? Like Mike, right? A 14-year-old Calvin Cambridge, played by Bow Wow, lives in an orphanage but dreams of playing in the NBA. Yes, a kid dreams of playing in the NBA. Normal story, right? His life changes when he finds a pair of old sneakers with the initials MJ written on them, alluding to Michael Jordan. That's why it's called Like Mike. And it seems to give Calvin these amazing, incredible basketball skills, allowing him to compete with professional NBA players. The Sounds end up catching the eye of struggling Los Angeles Knights team, and they end up signing him. With his newfound abilities, Calvin goes from street ball to stardom, all while navigating the challenges of fame and longing for a real family. So the main story is him playing in the NBA, and then underneath that is him trying to find a family, right? He has his friends in the orphanage and he wants to be adopted. That's the story as a whole. Like Mike 2, on the other hand, follows Jerome Jenkins Jr., a young aspiring basketball player, once again, who discovers a pair of mysterious sneakers that once belonged to legendary basketball player Michael Jordan, and when he puts them on, he gains extraordinary basketball skills, allowing him to dominate on the court and rise through the ranks of competitive street ball. So that's the difference here. One's in the NBA, the other is street ball. I'll be honest, Like Mike 2 really isn't that bad. It's an okay movie, and it would almost pass my test. I mean, some could argue that the shoes are the main character of the series, and each movie we could follow a new kid trying to play basketball in them, but I don't know, it's a little murky. It doesn't feel right to me. The first movie felt deeply personal to Calvin Cambridge. It was like more than basketball, right? He wanted a family. They developed the characters so well. They developed all the characters around him so well. And then there just wasn't a continuation of that, and they just wanted to capitalize on the name, right? Then there's The Sandlot 2, right? The original is an absolute classic. Everyone knows about this movie, but in the sequel, brand new set of kids who happen to live in the same neighborhood and just happen to recreate the same exact summer, almost beat for beat, bar for bar. I get deja vu just watching it. I mean, it's not a sequel. It's a rerun. It's a reboot. It's a recreation, but it's not The Sandlot 2. It's a remake. And that's what I think my biggest problem with some of these are. Movie studios are just milking the same movie to death, and that's cool if time has passed and you can retell the story differently or give it to a new audience. Like, how many Spider-Man movies have there been lately? Since 2000, there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 going on 9 movies, and they each have their own style and don't claim to be a continuation of each other, even though now they are kind of the same story in the multiverse. Separate point. And don't get me started on Mean Girls 2. I recently learned about Mean Girls, I think last year. My wife told me about it. And then I found out there was a Mean Girls 2, but no Katie, no Regina George. I feel like a lot of people haven't even heard of this movie. It's not even at the same school. It's just some kids trying to recreate the plastics like we wouldn't notice the difference. It's like someone putting on a high school play of Mean Girls, and then they just decided to film that and ship it over. They did a remake of Mean Girls a couple years ago, and that's fine. They did it right by not calling it Mean Girls 2. They just called it Mean Girls. To the audience, you're making a promise when you put 2 or 3 at the end of a movie's name. You're promising to me the continuation of the story the audience fell in love with. You're promising us we'll be able to see familiar faces, a familiar vibe, and a real connection and what came before. And when you break that promise, it's like walking to a reunion with a bunch of strangers. You might recognize the setting and the situation because it's just a blatant copy, but with none of the people that made it special. So, in conclusion, come up with some original ideas, please.